You're about to watch a clip from the Videomaker podcast. If you want to see the whole episode, click the link in the description. I have this theory that with everyone kind of stuck in their homes or at least staying away from other people, even if you're not in your home, that we're going to see an explosion of YouTubers. And I think that we could look at the first wave of YouTubers that came out in the mid to late 2000s, as a result of a lot of people losing their jobs as a result of the financial crisis, and trying to just find a new way to make a few extra bucks. I suspect we're going to see a lot more of that now. The economy looks like it's going into a recession. I think everyone is agreeing now that it's going into a recession. But not only that, people are stuck in their homes, they're stuck at their computers, they're stuck in front of their TVs or whatever. Communicating with video online is more relevant now than it has ever been, I believe. Yeah. And so I think that in some sense, we're all is an overstatement, but just it sounds better, we're all YouTubers now, essentially. So this may be a great time for a lot of people to start up the YouTube channel they've been thinking about starting for a long time.
You know, I think there's also one more step of that is there are people that like doing YouTube or like making content, but they haven't been able to quit their day jobs. You know, and this is going to be an opportunity for them to do more. Like as if they, well, maybe they don't have a job. I don't want to joke about that, but that added time, it might be just like anybody's hobby. It might give you a chance to dive into that. And I hope so, because I'd have to say that it comes in waves, because I think that people come in and out of being able to financially support themselves with YouTube. I think that some are able to do it quickly, or some are doing it with hopes and then never can quite get there. I always hate running into a page that I like their content and then they haven't made anything for years because obviously they couldn't support themselves.
You're right.
But, in this case, making money with it, there's going to be a whole lot of you have to put before money comes from it, I imagine.
Yeah, that's true. And it takes a long time to build an audience.
Totally. But we also will have heightened audience. We'll have, obviously all the TV stations. In Europe, they're asking Netflix to only stream in SD because they're worried about bandwidth.
Oh, really?
Because of the amount of people that are going to be streaming, that they want to make sure everybody can get their entertainment. I'm not sure if we have those same limitations here, but definitely something to consider, that bandwidth could be an issue.
By the way, I'll say regarding that, you and I are in our late 30s.
Yeah.
No big deal. We grew up with SD and it was fine.
It was fine. You know what? And, I kind of wish I could go back to those years, because you never really had to care about focus, and that was
well, you had to care a little bit, not as much.
Man, I just remember the difficulties when we first switched to HD. Of you mean I have to think about my focus again? Now, given that was also the time of switching from a fixed lens camera, like a camcorder, to an interchangeable lens camera, which of course doesn't hold its focus through the zoom of its lens, but either way, that added resolution, just like going up to 4K or 8K, whatever, it requires more sharpness, just because you can see it.
Yeah, so in this case, I think, getting back to YouTube generally, I think you're right that there are a lot of people who have wanted to make a YouTube channel for a long time, and it's like they're working and they're busy, and building a YouTube channel is difficult work. It's hard
time
work.
Consuming, and my thought, a lot of this stuff, it's like my job here at Videomaker ebbs and flows and changes to what we're doing at any given time, mostly making video. And it's like, well, if I was in one place and I was doing one specific thing, I could let people watch me work all day, and it might actually be interesting. Whereas, if I'm writing, you're seeing me do this, type at a computer, look at a screen.
Let's think about that, actually. In some cases, if someone's a writer, maybe what we're writing about is not that interesting. But if you're a writer, your work might be interesting to other writers if you are going through your thought process out loud.
Yeah, totally. I was sharing my screen and they're able to read along with me or whatever. Talk about a vulnerability as a writer. I really rely on my editor, but the thing is that vulnerability is what endears you to your community.
Yeah.
So, I think a lot of times that might be and that's, for me, it was just like, well, if things are changing so much, let's just change it. I think of when I worked at a TV station that the owners changed, and they just assumed that a lot of change is going to happen. So let's do all of the change all at once. So if you object to change, well, you just won't work here anymore. But otherwise, you'll just have to get into the lifestyle of change, of being able to go with it. And it was amazing how many things they were able to change because they piled it on, and you almost didn't know what to focus on. The change, you just I'm just in a world of change. Things are going. This is just the new way. Whereas if everything was going the normal, and then you tried to change something big, you'd have a lot of recourse from that. There'd be a lot of, but when it's amongst a lot of other change, I think it's what people worry about with the government sometimes, is that it's just easy to throw in a thing here or there that you've been wanting to do, but that would be difficult getting people on board just because times are changing. Yeah.
So there's this situation that's happening right now with a lot of people where they are temporarily out of a job, as in the business is closing down, not permanently, but until we get through this situation with the virus, then business is going to reopen and everyone's going to go back to work. What a fantastic time to start the YouTube channel, right? Yeah. Like in a lot of cases, people are in this situation and they're not exactly looking for new work, and it's learning their new skills, like we just talked about. But if you have this drive to become a YouTuber, man, it's a good time. It's and it's going to take a long time to build up an audience. I mean, we all know that, right? But you start now, you start while you have this opportunity, you can start to see some growth, you can start to track your trends, and maybe at the end of this whole thing, you're not at the point where you can say, I actually don't want to go back to work, I'm going to stick with the YouTube thing. This window is probably going to be too short for that, but you can see a trajectory, and maybe you'll be in a spot where it's like, well, I really can't make enough money to live off of right now, but this trajectory says that I actually will be there at whatever date, and maybe if I do this part-time for a while, I'll get there a little later than I would if I did it full-time, but I'll get there. Or you can say, I'll just rely on my savings for a while and follow this trajectory and see if I can get there.
I mean, there's not a whole lot of other things in the world that you could just try out for a little bit and be like, I might have a living from this. Like, I mean, I can't just start going, digging up some dirt and being like, I think I'm going to be a farmer. Like it's
right.
It takes a lot more than that. Whereas like you want to make some content and you have something to say, there's going to be people who want to listen to it. And I've been seeing this a lot lately of channels that it's about what your content is. Your production, I would love it if the production quality really mattered, but it doesn't. But it doesn't seem to matter for success of communication in most cases. I mean, sure, it could be better, but your ability to communicate doesn't necessarily equal good production. Those two things don't need to equally exist. But that, you're doing this. No one's on vacation here. It's like if you're like on okay, business is shut down for X amount of weeks. It's not like you're going to party. Maybe you spend a couple days.
I have heard, by the way, some Gen Z people have decided they're going to party.
Like party at home?
Like party at spring break in Florida. They're causing problems, but that's a tangent.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
But if you're, it's not really viable time to do just about anything, right? There's a lot of restrictions on what we can do. So if we can be effective at home in progressing something, that's going to be good. It's going to be good to have goals because, the next goal might just be not going crazy for being stir crazy at home. It might, I was thinking of being, would it be exciting to get to go on a walk, which I normally would be like, I'll go on a walk or not today. It's like, no, I need to get on a walk. I need to get outside, walk those dogs.
And by the way, in Northern California, where we are, rural Northern California, you can safely go on a walk and not, come within 10 feet of other people.
So on a normal day, I will drive to work and see like 6 cars. So, we are in a 100,000 people community, but there's no significant density of people at all. I'd say the dormitories at the college might be the most dense populated area.
Not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. They're all on spring break and likely telecommuting. But it's a good time to take adventure on yourself, on knowledge, on trying to do YouTube, trying to do something. The only way we can get through this and not just freak out is to try to continue to be positive on the things that are positive. And that's hard to do. So for me, I'm going to try to start doing that just immediately. So by the time it becomes hard to do it, I might have a good chance of just going along with it. But we gotta see those things that are going to be exciting. We can't just dwell on the bad, and things will get under control regardless. So we will be able to, get back to normality at some point. And why not better yourself, your skills, or get ahead by taking a venture on a business idea of YouTube or what have you.
And frankly, even if you're not interested in starting a business on YouTube, like making a YouTube channel a business, self-expression is a form of catharsis.
Oh, totally.
And there are YouTube is just an incredible place to express yourself. I think more than almost any other platform. You could argue that Instagram and YouTube, or Instagram and Facebook kind of do the same thing, but it's not really like YouTube where really the content is there in perpetuity and it's not this fleeting thing. And, just going on there, if you want to start a vlog that you don't expect to go anywhere, but just sort of expressing yourself, it will feel good. Or at least a lot of people find that it feels good.
Yeah, I'm an introvert extrovert, if that makes any sense. I love talking to people. I like connecting with people, but I don't love big groups of people. And so I know for myself, I will need to connect, probably just by conversation with people, but that, there's a big community in the YouTube world. I mean, obviously it's the rest of the world. Finding community will be things that everybody's searching out for eventually. There's going to be some kind of community that we will need, if not just to feel better about our situation. It might just be seeing someone else miserable, that they watched all of their favorite shows to ad nauseum, or whatever it is. We're going to need support. And the good thing is we're all dealing with this crap. And so we can all come together side by side as humans and go, this is something that we all experience, and it's not a nation thing. This is not a racial thing. This is not a gender thing. This thing doesn't like anybody. We are all in this together, and I think that we can all better from it if we want to challenge ourselves to doing so.